You read fairy tales as a child and believed they were make-believe. A girl in a red hood, a house made of candy, a talking wolf. None of it seemed real. Yet the reason these stories have survived for thousands of years across nearly every culture on Earth is stranger than fantasy itself. Fairy tales were never merely entertainment, they were survival manuals disguised as stories, passed down because children who remembered them were often more likely to survive. Before writing, schools, or formal education, there was only the fire and the voice beside it. Around those fires, every culture told strange, dark stories to its children. But why teach through fiction instead of facts? Because the human brain learns through narrative. Cognitive psychologist Jerome Bruner argued that storytelling is one of humanity's oldest tools for making meaning. A list of rules is forgettable. A story is not. Your brain stores "the wolf followed the girl into the forest" differently from "avoid strangers." One passes through memory, the other stays. Consider Little Red Riding Hood. On the surface, it is about a wolf. But folklorist Maria Tatar argues that the wolf was never really about wolves. It represented predators in every form. The manipulator, the stranger, the danger hiding behind familiarity. The lesson is clear. Stay on the path and be cautious of what seems safe. The genius of fairy tales lies in symbolism. Children cannot fully understand violence or deception, but they can understand a wolf. Hansel and Gretel works the same way. Historian Jack Zipes traces its origins to medieval Europe, where famine and child abandonment were real. The forest was not imaginary. It marked the edge of survival, where resources ended and danger began. Children who learned to fear wandering too far may have been more likely to survive. In ancestral communities, staying close to the group often meant staying alive. Here lies the paradox. The scarier the story, the more useful it became. Fear is not a flaw in fairy tales. Fear is the mechanism. Neuroscience shows that emotionally charged experiences are remembered more vividly than neutral ones. The brain prioritizes danger because remembering danger has evolutionary value. This is why the original Grimm tales were dark. They were not designed to comfort children, but to prepare them. A frightening story heard once could shape behavior for years. The wolves, witches, and forests were never literal. They were symbols flexible enough to represent whatever threats a community faced. A wolf could become a criminal. A forest could become the unknown. A candy house could become temptation itself. That symbolic flexibility explains why fairy tales spread across cultures. Versions of Little Red Riding Hood appear in Europe, Asia, and Africa, each adapted to local dangers while preserving the same warning. Not everything that seems safe truly is. Even their structure reflects this purpose. Most begin with a child leaving safety, the home, the village, the parent's side. For much of human history, wandering away from the group was one of the greatest dangers a child could face. Fairy tales rehearse this lesson until it becomes instinct. We no longer fear wolves in forests, but our brains remain ancient. The forest became the internet. The wolf became someone who gains trust too quickly. The candy house became offers that seemed too good to be true. The threats changed. Human nature did not. Some scholars argue that fairy tales also entertain, preserve culture, and help children process emotions. Yet these functions may themselves be tools of survival. Learning whom to trust, what to fear, and how to navigate uncertainty has always been essential to being human. You did not outgrow these stories because you outgrew danger. You entered a world that hides its wolves better. You read fairy tales as a child and believed they were make-believe. Perhaps they were the truest things anyone ever told us. What modern dangers should today's fairy tales warn us about? Leave your answers in the comments below. If you like this content, please like and subscribe.